A former teacher, Polly Holyoke, is the award-winning author of the Neptune trilogy for middle grade readers from Disney Hyperion, and middle grade fantasy Sky Riders from Viking children's books about brave young couriers with their flying horses. She loves encouraging students to read, to write, and to unplug from their electronics to daydream. Polly, over to you.
Thank you very much. Welcome to my fabulous hotel room here in Denver, Colorado. I'm here I've been hosted by the Colorado State Librarians, and I just got this lovely thing from them yesterday. I am on the state list here in Colorado, and yesterday was the first day I got to see this beautiful poster that is going to be up in lots of libraries around the state. So thank you, Colorado librarians, for having such excellent taste in literature. Yes, just really, really fun to be on the list in my home state. So before I begin to read, I wanted to share with you all the inspiration behind Skywriters. I think creative story ideas often come when you mash two totally different ideas together. So in this case, I combined the American Pony Express with the Pegasus myth. And then I also was really maybe trying to write a Game of Thrones for middle schoolers without all the sex and the violence, set in a vast empire, and that's how I arrived at Skywriters. I also wanted to, where's my next set of notes? There we go. And the scene that I'm going to be sharing is the awful moment in the story where my brave sky courier Cassandra Torson and her sky steed Nara realized for the first time that the terrible chimerae, three-headed monsters that almost destroyed Bacall, their empire years and years ago, have returned. And Kai is one of the very few that knows how to fight these terrible beasts because her uncle, her rather eccentric uncle, is obsessed with chimera lore. So she is going to be in the hot seat here pretty soon because she actually knows how to fight these terrible things. So no more ado, we will jump into this reading. Suddenly, Nara let loose a wild clarion neigh, and he laid his ears back in shock and anger. "What's gotten into you?" Kai asked in bewilderment. "The Skywriters do not fight Grythawks," he replied. "They fight chimerae." Kai stared into the distance, her innards churning as she blinked her dry eyes against the hot desert wind. Nara had to be wrong. The Skywriters couldn't be fighting chimerae. All the monsters had been killed centuries ago. But now Nara had flown her close enough that she could see several large tawny shapes wheeling about a band of Skywriters. For a moment, the nearest winged beast was silhouetted against the blue sky, and it had 1, 2, 3 heads. And then the desert wind brought with it the deep, rumbling roar of a lion. "You're right," she stuttered, even as cold terror seized her. "Should we run for Derwin Station and warn Riken? She has to know, he has to know, he has to warn the Empire." But as Nara raced closer, it became obvious that the fight was not going well for the Skywriters. At the center of their band, a gray sky steed fought to stay aloft, its gray wing flailing at the air. Another rider slumped forward, unconscious, against his sky steed's neck, while other riders struggled to protect their injured. The air thundered with the full-throated roars of lions and the harsh cries of the blood goat heads as they tried to tear at the sky steeds with their sharp, black horns. "We have to help them," Nara cried. "All right," Kai said. Abruptly, the panic making her thoughts tumble about disappeared, and a strange calm took their place. "Take us higher. I want the sun in the chimera's eyes." 3 strokes later, they hovered above the fight. The rider on the injured sky steed fired arrows at the chimerae, and a second Skyrider sliced at the beast with a sword. When one of the chimerae advanced on the injured gray, a third rider on a smaller pinto darted past the monster, obviously trying to distract it. The chimera chased the pinto for several ring strokes, then it turned back towards the stricken sky steed again. "Let's try to hit the sand dragon's heart." She turned Nara towards the chimera, menacing the injured sky steed. A hit to the largest of the chimera's hearts could, in theory, kill the creature outright. She sent Nara into a dive and pulled her bowstring back. They flashed closer until the chimera's tan and black wings flapped beneath them. Nara swooped underneath its left wing into the creature's blind spot, and a wall of sand-colored hides slipped past. She gripped her bow tighter. The monster seemed so much bigger than Uncle Doug's had described. It was twice as tall and twice as long as Nara. and 3 arrows already protruded from its side. As they skimmed past the beast, Kai turned back and fired into the center of its chest. The lion head, surrounded by a thick brown mane, twisted on its strong neck and roared at them so loudly that her whole body vibrated from the sound. A second later, the stench of the rotting flesh caught in its teeth made her gag. The sand dragon head, on a much thinner and longer neck, struck at them in a blur of black scales and yellow fangs, but Nara had already carried them beyond its reach. The fury in the chimera's hiss made her tremble. "We have to use the tri-wires," she gasped to Nara as he climbed swiftly above the fight again. "That thing has 4 arrows in it, and it's still flying," which meant she must have missed her hard shot. She slipped the bow over her shoulders and ripped the first tri-wire from its packet. 3 razor-sharp wires, 3 feet long and weighted with balls of lead at their ends, were joined at the center with a small wooden handle. Careful to keep the wires away from Nara's wings, she whirled the tri-wire over her head until it hummed. Concentrating hard, she gauged the chimera's wing strokes. Her timing had to be perfect. With her seat and her legs, she sent Nara into another dive. This time they skimmed past the chimera on its right, and as its wing reached its lowest point, she threw the tri-wire. It went spinning through the air, sunlight glinting on its sharp copper strands. One wire sliced halfway through the chimera's thin wing hide. The second wrapped around the talon protruding from the wing's leading edge. The last caught the monster's front leg. Then they were past it. She glimpsed movement behind them and jerked hard to the right. Nara dove right as the chimera's spiked tail whistled through the space where they'd been moments earlier. "That was close. You all right?" she asked breathlessly as Nara pumped his wings to gain them altitude once more. "Yes, but the foul one is not," Nara replied with fierce satisfaction. She glanced down. The tri-wire had bound the chimera's damaged wing to its leg. Screeching frantically, the monster beat at the air with its good wing as it plunged in tight circles towards the ground. One of the remaining 4 chimerae broke off the attack and dove after it. Moments after the first one crashed, the second one landed on top of it and began to feed. So the fight scene goes on from there. I don't want to give too much more away except to say that Kai does save an imperial prince in the course of this fight out in the desert, and their friendship becomes key to the rest of the story. Basically, her quest in this first book in this series is to get people of the capital to listen to her because, again, she knows how to fight the chimera the ancient ways. New ways have been developed, and they're not nearly as effective. And so that's a pretty tall order for a frontier girl from the fringes of the empire to have to go speak truth to power and get them to listen to her. So that's basically the plot of lots of fighting and lots of friendship and things that middle grade kids like, I hope. And so that's book 1. And I'm just really happy to say that book 2 just came out May 7th. So it's a very brand new book in the world. And origin stories are such a big deal. So this is really kind of like the origin story of my Sky Steeds. So thank you for listening. And I'm going to turn this on to our next reader.